makes me think about how people can start getting ready for the workplace and skills they need for the workplace. So I'm thinking back in like high school, in college, you know, did they have any classes to help prepare you for the workplace, you know, or was it just on the job training? You had to fail a lot to get where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of both, but you know, class-wise, public speaking has to be one of the greatest fears of all people of any kind. And that was one class that I was a little nervous at first to dive into, but along the way, it just opened me up into learning what my capabilities are. So yeah, public speaking and just being very decisive with what you want. And in addition to that, taking like business communication courses also helped as well. And communication and culture was another thing that helped as well. Because then, like I mentioned at the beginning of our podcast, we deal with a lot of, or we meet different clients, or we meet different people everywhere we go, and our communication skills varies depending on which person you're talking to, whether it's your friend or your boss. Those communication styles are very different. Whereas, yeah, you're speaking on a casual level versus formal. So learning that in school was pretty key. Business communication, public speaking, learning how to speak in public, basically. And yeah, so I guess one of the highlights of my college career was taking these public speaking courses, because it allowed me to have the confidence to speak in front of crowds, and just speak to anybody out there, whether it's walking around town or any job you get. You're going to have to introduce yourself to every single person, and yeah, to have that confidence and to know, to have that strength is pretty key. So anybody that hasn't taken any public speaking courses yet, whether you're in college or not even going to college, yeah, just learning how to, all the fundamentals of public speaking is pretty important. I would go more in depth into it. But have you taken any public speaking courses, Scott?
I'm very upset with myself that I've only taken one public speaking class during college, and it was like mandatory, and it turned out to be the best class I've taken throughout my 4 years of college, and it was probably the most impactful and the most meaningful class that still serves as a cornerstone of, you know, me starting my professional business life. And I think more people need to, like you said, take more classes, because in order to get better at speaking, you need to suck a lot. You need to start failing all the time. You need to see what your weak points are. You need to see how your body language is when you're talking to someone. You need to see how your reaction is when you're in front of a crowd, in front of the opposite sex, in front of someone of a higher status, could be your boss or whatever. You need to go through all these experiences, and you need to put yourself in that in order to feel comfortable. Because the only time that you can appropriately or like concisely put out the right words for another person is when you're comfortable, you know, when you're not thinking so much. Because when you're nervous, you're thinking about so many different things, and the little details now become big details. And in your head, you're making your problems bigger than they actually are. So you gotta just, even if you don't go to class right now, just practice with your friends, or like practice with your neighbor, or record yourself. You know, you can even read a made up speech already. Just record yourself. Like, how's your pronunciation? Do you have run-on sentences where you keep going, no pauses? How's your hands? How's your posture and all that? How's your eyes? Do you smile?
Look in the mirror.
Because right now when we're doing these podcasts, like I'm looking at myself like am I just frowning as you're talking,
Yes.
or like am I being engaged and smiling and like nodding my head, like making sure I'm staying active.
Yeah.
I'm not just listening just to reply. I'm listening to make sure I'm asking you the right questions, to follow up, to clarify certain things, and to make sure to let you know that I'm there with your story. I'm there listening with you. So don't make not having class an excuse. This is probably one of the most important skills that you need to learn in life. Communication.
It is.
In general, not even the workplace, in general.
Yeah. It's just one of the building blocks that we pretty much need when it comes to just working anywhere or meeting people. I would start off by learning how to introduce yourself. It is just key because you're meeting people and they want to know who you are. So why not kind of list down, I guess, aspects of yourself that you think are interesting and share it with other people and get their feedback. And yes, nonverbal communication is also a key component into just having an effective communication between people, because your body language, if your body seems to be down all the time, just like shoulders down,
they'll see it.
Yeah, they'll see it and they'll kind of give off that idea that you're not interested, or you're just I give it out to comedians because they have a job that they need to make people laugh, in addition to just having that energy all throughout that, let's say, 1 hour show that they have. Making people laugh is difficult.
For an hour straight, yeah.
Yes. Going back to like my first public speaking class, we had a speech where we had to act as if we were a comedian, and we had to make people laugh in addition to speaking clearly and precisely and just everything that comedians do. So it is, for comedians, I gotta give them a round of applause because it is a tough job. And just any performer or anybody doing public speaking presentations like that. But you just have to try it out yourself. And
exactly.
You're gonna suck at it at first, like I did. You probably did as well.
Yep. Of course, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, and that's how you learn. And yeah, to this day, I am still, I still get nervous when it comes to speaking in public, even like Zoom calls. Like
Same. Same.
Like before, I used to like overthink stuff, like even before I started talking, and then once I started talking, I would just blabber on.
What do you think would be 3 important skills? And of course, they're not the end all be all, but the 3 most important skills for a good communicator.
First one, eye contact is key. No matter where you are at, whether it's face-to-face with a single individual or a crowd, eye contact is key, because if you're making a speech in front of hundreds of people and you look at that person all the way in the back, they're gonna think to themselves like, oh, this guy is actually talking to me. So it'll make them feel good. And face to face, it'll make people aware that you're listening to them. Which brings me to my next point is an effective communicator also listens. I guess the third one is your body language. Pretty key. So whether it's using hand gestures, the way you're standing up or sitting down, is pretty key, just to kind of show people that how interested you are in something.
I think the most three important skills or things you need to do to be a effective communicator would be, I'm kind of cheating, but then like you have to practice. So practice body language, practice your storytelling, practice your gestures, practice where your pauses are, like practice introducing yourself. Because once you're good at like certain things like introducing yourself, because what's the first question everyone asks you at networking events? What do you do? You know,
That's
so
it.
it's better. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I'm a trainer, versus, oh yeah, my job is to keep the senior population of our community as fit as possible so they can enjoy all their daily living activities, like hanging out with their grandchildren or like still playing golf or keeping active with all their friends, you know.
Yeah.
So that way they don't need to be bound to a wheelchair. So that sounds infinitely
Yeah.
better than I'm just a trainer.
interested. Yeah. Spice it up. And
So practice. Like Allen Iverson. You get the reference. So
Yeah.
number two would be I just thought about this in my head. Number two would be, now don't edit this out, Kenny. I want people to see me suffer because
There we
I
go.
didn't practice.
Yeah.
I didn't practice. And now
Thinking
I'm
on the
just using a
spot.
method.
It is. Yeah.
I'm using a method where I just talk about certain things to delay time. So first one was practice. Second one is making sure people understand what you're talking about. Making complex things simple. Because have you ever talked to like somebody like a boss or a coworker and they're telling you to do something, and then all you got out of that conversation was like, what the heck are you talking about? Yeah. Say that one more time. I didn't understand. Because if you're good at nonverbal gestures and your postures are good and you speak very eloquently, none of that matters if the message didn't get through. Like if people don't know what you're talking about, then you're not an effective communicator. People gotta know what you're talking about. If you can make complex things easy to follow, I think you're a very, very good communicator. So my third thing would be it's more of a principle, but you gotta have that mindset to get better. You know, as if I don't know if you ever watch Toastmasters, and that's when all these really good gifted speakers come together. You know, they're always talking about how can I get better, how can I improve my skills, and some of the things they do is just, you know, they watch really good people speak, they record themselves, they ask their friends, they ask for feedback, you know, they do research, they look at articles, look at online clips of other people. So they're a student of the game. And you know, similar to practice, you know, this is a distant cousin, but you gotta consistently improve every single day. You know, even if it's less than 1%, you gotta make progress. And the only way to do that is to put in the work and to have that mindset. I'm okay, but I can still be better. And this podcast gives me a chance to get better at speaking every single time. So
Same
I don't know
here.
I watched the last couple episodes of us or for myself, and I'm like, oh goodness, why did I stutter like that? No, and in this episode, I've stuttered as well, and I speak too fast at certain points, and this is just an opportunity to get better. And when I watch this episode later, I'm gonna take out some points and I'm gonna get a little bit better. So by the time episode 100 hits, you best bet your bottom dollar that I'm gonna be much better than I was at episode 1.
We're gonna look back on this and then we're gonna be like, oh, look at how episode so and so was, and look at our communication.
Yeah, you don't want to stay the same.
Yeah. So awesome. I mean, going back to your second point though, making complex things more simple for anybody to understand. That's really key because like if you're starting a new job, you're gonna hear different terminology. that you're not aware of, and you don't even know what the hell they're talking about, especially like
Right.
if you're in the medical field as well.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, you might know a couple words, but you know, there's gonna be a lot of other words that you're like, what the hell is that? And yeah, and yeah, in every industry, there's gonna be things that you're unaware of, and yeah, to have that communication ability to make something so complex and just yeah, be able to, let's say, dumb it down, but I would say just make it more simple for anybody, like walking on the streets of Waikiki, for them to understand, is really important, because then you can communicate with anybody. So
That's when you know that you understand the material, if you can simplify things. And of course, know the technical terms, but more often than not, your clients don't care about the complexities or the technical jargon.
yeah,
They care about, okay, does that make sense, or do I understand that? Because if you use a whole bunch of technical jargon, you're gonna make them confused, and they're gonna make them frustrated. Like, why start a relationship like that?
yeah,
Keep it simple, silly.
yeah. Keep it simple. Here we go. Yeah.
All right.